Boom, what's up, y'all? Good morning, good morning, good morning, and welcome to another edition of the Brothers of Legacy. I am your hostess with the mostest, A.D. Walker. I appreciate you guys rocking and hanging with us. It's another week, guys. It's another week. I appreciate all my podcast listeners. I appreciate you as well. Thank you for sharing and thank you for rating and reviewing. Thank you for doing all that you do. If this is your first time here in the Brothers of Legacy space, let me explain who we are. We are a group of brothers that are coming together to discuss issues that are affecting our community. And our mantra is we don't stand out, we stand up, and we speak against those things that have been breaking our community for so many years and decades and shattering the narratives about our community, and especially those narratives that are against Black men, um, brothers in particular. So I appreciate you being here. Good morning, Goodson. I know you got the issues, but thank you for being in the comment section. Um, so today we're going to be discussing another one of those social issues, and it's going to be an amazing conversation. So definitely, I need you to share. Sharing is caring. Be a part of this conversation because every conversation helps shift our community. Every conversation helps shift our community. Let's see. So that blessings. All right. Mama McCory is in the building. Lisa's in the building. In the building. Great morning to you guys. So listen, I'm glad Mama McCory is on YouTube because I am going to eventually get off of Facebook. We'll probably throw clips in there, but honestly, we're going to be really moving out of Facebook, and just doing something a little different because I need everybody. Because YouTube is just another grand space, but it compensates better, and it seemed like it reaches better. So just a quick shout out right there, especially Mama Corey's on YouTube now, so I'm good now. I can move. So make sure you do so. And if you're watching right now and you're like, man, what you mean? How are we going to know about the YouTube? Make sure you join our community. And that's what we're all about. Community. Text LWN to 84576. Text LWN to 84576. And that's the Legacy Walker Network. And you'll find out everything the Brothers is doing, as well as all the other broadcasts we have under that umbrella. So make sure you do that as well. And if you didn't know, right now is your opportunity to share. Hit the share button, hit the copy if you're on YouTube, and then paste it in Facebook. Get everybody a chance to see what's going down, what's happening. And soon I'm gonna have me some clips to share and, do something a little different. So I appreciate you guys because BOL is making a shift. I pray everybody had a great weekend. Mine was very productive, to say the least. But it was awesome. So listen, today we're going to talk about what are we talking about? What are we talking about? Where's it at? Splickety splow. Who's to blame for our social issues? Now, the direction and the angle I'm taking in this is the man woman relationship, baby mama drama, and all of that kind of situation going. So because I put this together like in the middle of the night, so I was trying to get it in a broad sense, but basically that's the topic of discussion: our relationship with each other, and how and who's to blame. Where should the blame lie? Who should take the brunt of the brunt of the blame for the issues that have happened in our community? And I know we always go towards the government and the social services and things like that. And I may take some issue with that. We'll talk about that throughout this week, because I don't know. I watched some folks that were present back in the day, and they said some things that were kind of disturbing. And I thought about, it's interesting how they talked about how their life was and the lives of their other brothers. And this gentleman is well known, and how he acted back then, in the 70s and 60s, and what they what they used to do. And it's interesting. It's interesting because I know a lot of people, historically we're trying to tie the issues that happened in the community as far as the absence of the black man through social service. But I'm gonna throw another twist into that. I'm gonna throw another angle into that. And I know it's probably going to be one of those unpopular opinions, but it may be more true than you can realize. So we're gonna get into that this week. Talking about our relational differences, our relational issues, some kind of men 2.0-ish revolution happening. Because I feel like a men's movement is happening in kind of an undercurrent, where it's kind of a backlash to the feminist kind of movement. And I say it from a distance because I don't totally agree with a lot of what I've been hearing from my brothers as far as their reasoning or their angst. I mean, I get, sometimes you get a little frustrated and being blamed for everything. But we're going to talk about that as well. Hey, what's up, sports car lady? Cheryl in the building. Great morning to you. We're going to talk about that as well. So this is going to be an interesting week. Yes, indeed. So I appreciate you guys rocking and hanging with us. It may be just me today. I got to see if my brothers will be able to come on. But we shall see. But if it's just me, then we're going to handle it accordingly. All right. And we'll just have a conversation and talk about the things that are happening in our lives, your life, and my life. Spliggity splow. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and get started. So listen, this is your opportunity to share, tag somebody. And if you're part of the text community, be sure to, you can share your text to somebody, share it to them so they can join as well. Or even just get the link. Just go through your what's that? Wigamajo, the contacts, copy, paste it to the people that you text currently, people that you haven't texted, people I've talked to in years. Text them. All right. So we appreciate you. We'll be right back after this. I didn't want to catch
Good
that.
Morning. Good morning.
Ooh. Welcome to another edition of
Good morning. Good morning. Everybody.
This episode is brought to you by StreamYard. Ready to go live? Go to bit.ly/StreamYard BOL. That's bit.ly/StreamYard BOL. This episode is also brought to you by Self. Build credit now. Go to bit.ly/now build credit. bit.ly/now build credit. All right, welcome back. Let's see. All right, let's talk. Boom. Let's share here. Boom. All right, let's see. I welcome you. Thank you guys again for being in the building, hanging and rocking with us. This is the Brothers of Legacy show where we come on every single morning, Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Let's see. The struggle is real. Let's see, share the page. Bam. All right, tap. All right, here we go. Let's go. All right, posting. All right. Sometimes, I'm going to keep it real, right? I'm going to keep it real because I get so used to my brothers being here. It's weird holding down the conversation by myself. Not that I can't, because I've been doing this for maybe 5 years now. So I spent a lot of time by myself. Me, one man, one mic, one phone. Um, so this is nothing really new, but I just got used to being here with my brother. Speaking of which, coming to the stage all the way from Kankakee, now in Georgia. Well, Kankakee to California to Georgia, probably off, but none other than my brother, Pastor Brian McCory Sr.
Morning, morning, morning.
Good morning.
I guess you're telling everybody I'm really a gypsy.
Listen, I got the gypsy status as well. I've been here in North Carolina, and Chicago, or outside the Chicago lines.
Right.
All right. Good
Happy
morning.
Memorial Day, everybody.
Yes. In my mind, I was like, I know this today is something special. Happy Memorial Day, my peoples. Let's see. Boom, boom, boom. All right. Let's do this. All right, Pastor. How's everything going? All is well?
All is well, sir. Yeah.
Awesome.
Celebration mode continues.
Yes, indeed.
Celebrating all these beautiful young minds graduating to their various next levels.
Yes, indeed.
Just so proud to see these young people coming up and doing their thing, shining. Our future is bright when you consider the children from our village.
Right. That is true.
Yeah, so I'm excited.
Awesome.
So what we got today?
Today we're talking about who's to blame for our social issues. Who's to blame for our social issues?
The devil. Well, we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities,
right?
Power, spiritual wickedness in high places.
Yes, indeed. Oh man, don't.
The weapons of this warfare are not carnal, but are mighty through God to the pulling down of strongholds.
Yes, indeed, pulling down. So yeah. So all right, guys.
On a holiday.
So,
hey, this is Memorial Day. It's a holiday, so he's dressing for the occasion. I'm underdressed.
Right.
Well, actually,
Oh gosh, I knew it. Thanks, Sam.
I'm formally dressed.
My podcast people, he is now showing his Cowboys jersey with the United States.
If you close your eyes and imagine, if you just visualize, you can see this classy attire that I'm wearing.
Classy. All right. Oh, so let's see. Oh man, let's see. Hold on. I did that. Okay. So recently, I've been going through a lot of different YouTubes, and I've been hearing a kind of constant theme, and this is kind of the first question in this conversation. And is it the man's responsibility or the woman's responsibility when it comes to children? And me and Sam have talked about this, and it's like, it's a lot on the woman because in the end, a lot of times the man can walk away. I mean, the woman can walk away too. So I think about that. Like I think about your situation. But is it more on the woman or is it more on the man when it comes to children? Now, of course, the women got to bear and have the kids, and then I can bounce while the kid is, being born, and the woman then has to decide for herself, by herself, what to do with children. But would you say who would you feel like is the most? Would you say the responsibility is on? Now, for me personally, I'm gonna throw my answer out there. I've been feeling like, we've been talking about community, we've been talking about leadership, and men being the headship, setting the pace for that. I've been kind of feeling like it's on us, because we're the seed bearers, and of course we know it takes two, and we should be leading. So I've been kind of feeling that way. What's your opinion on that?
That is, well, first I'm going to rebuke Dwayne Goodson for his comment about Thanksgiving. That's number one. Now that we have gotten that out of the way, I don't think that I don't think there can be a fair debate on
Okay.
who holds the responsibility, because again, I look at man as the head.
Okay.
Man is an umbrella,
Right.
and everything in the household falls under that umbrella of headship,
Right.
of shepherd.
Right.
I also agree that there are roles to play, but I believe that the Bible does not speak to man specifically or woman specifically.
Okay.
It says to train,
Right. Right. That's true too.
right?
Yep.
So I would put it on both of the parents, but again, in your home, your customs are your own. In a
Right.
God-centered house, what's important is that the child is trained up in the fear and admonition of the Lord.
Right.
Right. Outside of that, you can do it any way you want to do it
Right.
if the house is whole. Because I don't see how a child would lose out if both parents are in the home and both parents are committed. It doesn't matter what role you play.
Right.
Right.
True.
There are certain households the children grew up fine, and the father does a lot of the father pays more attention or is more engaged in the rearing of the children, because the mother is the lead in financial resources. She's got
Right.
the career,
Right.
right? And vice versa. But I would say that just because you make the money doesn't mean you're exempt from raising your children.
Right. Yeah.
I just don't believe that. I believe that there has to be a healthy balance because children need both of their parents.
Right. So what I will say, like, so in I get what you're saying with the whole household, but what about the situations where the coming together was a one time thing,
Mhm.
and now we have a baby, you know,
Yeah.
from
Yeah.
our one encounter,
Hmm.
um, and it's deciding on what to do or how to do. Would you say, like, or even just the decision to come together to, you know, who would you say, or is it on more one than the other as far as making this decision could mean a lifetime of me being stuck with you? You know, like, who do you feel like that should fall? Is there one person, one party more responsible than the other for that
No,
decision?
no, I don't believe that. I think that you're not exempt because you did it wrong.
Right.
The reality is, it takes two people to make a child. It should take two people to raise a child.
Right.
I don't think there's any excuse that you can give. I mean, we can create them,
Hmm.
right? But the fact that you and your partner are no longer together has nothing to do with the health and welfare of that child. That child is supposed to have both of their parents fully engaged,
Right.
period. And the only thing that comes in between that is the grown folks,
Right.
right? Um,
He said
I
that
mean,
the
it goes back to, if we did it wrong, we still have to get it right. When you know better, you do better.
okay.
I made a mistake. Or I had a one night stand and you ended up pregnant, but you had the child. Okay, well, that one night stand is now a lifelong commitment.
Right. Right. That's interesting. So, okay, so would you say, so I know biblically speaking, um, we shouldn't be coming together unless we are married. You know, we
Hmm.
come together, we decide this is what we're going to do for the lifetime. And then children come from this agreement, this covenant. Um, so how do we begin? Because I've been thinking about this, and I'm gonna put together a video. I'm gonna have to really censor it because it gets real bad. But how do we begin to change the narrative of the conquest for men? You know, the amount of women that now I've been hearing bodies. You know, how do we begin to change that narrative? I mean, and it's been so pervasive for centuries. You know, it's not, this ain't nothing new, but um how do you feel like we can change that narrative? Because I've been thinking about that as well. How do we change that narrative where sex can become more sacred, you know, where it means more than just a moment or an act or a pleasure, you know, where it has more of a value? Is that a possibility? You know.
Listen, I don't, the term sex in and of
Mhm.
itself,
Right.
right? That's an act.
Right. Yes, indeed.
It's a physical act, right?
Yes.
Um, the changing, I don't think the narrative changes. I think that the training has to become more apparent, right? You
Okay.
have to be, it's the upbringing of a child. It's the setting of expectations. It's the leveling out or the strategy around priorities in
Right.
life,
Right.
right? And the value of principles of your life and the value of your body for both
Right.
male and female.
Right.
So if you're trained with the right set of priorities, if you're trained with fundamental principles in life, and and you're governed by those principles and you're chaperoned throughout life effectively, I think
Right.
that you'll be fine. I don't, the narrative doesn't change. The reality is, what you do in the dark will come to the light. That's an old adage that'll never go away. You
Right.
sneaking around and all that, and at some point you're going to make a mistake that's going to cost you more than the moment,
Right.
right?
Yes, indeed.
So I think it's all about how we raise our children, how we educate ourselves, what priorities we have in life.
Right.
Fundamental principles are key, man. And if that doesn't change, we will continue to see the same thing over and over. Now, I'm not expecting it to change. I mean, I'm a believer in the word of God. I don't think things are going to get easier. I think that we just have to get more focused. The world is not getting better. You understand? But we're in the world, but not of the world. And we have to keep bringing this back to the spiritual realm. We have to keep bringing this back to the kingdom focus, right? We have to be
Right.
kingdom minded and
Right.
not worldly driven. That's kind
Right.
of what we were talking about yesterday, right?
Right.
Suffer the little children to come unto me and forbid them not, for of such is the kingdom of God. Jesus said that in the book of Mark chapter 10,
Right.
because parents were bringing their children to
Right.
Jesus
Yes.
and the disciples rebuked them, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's what the grown folks are doing or lack or not doing
Right.
that's negatively impacting our future generations.
Right.
We have to be in our proper position, and that changes the behavior.
Right. Right.
Yes, Samantha, it all begins at home. Train your babies. Absolutely. That's what it's about. If you're in front of your children, social media won't be,
True. True.
right?
True. True. So,
That's how I see it.
yeah, Sam says, right. It begins at home. Train your babies. Because I was, that is definitely true, and I think I just feel like how Christ has to be the center. We get that. I don't know, like I want to raise the moral standard of how we live, and I know it comes with biblical teaching. I want it to be more natural, if that makes sense. Like
Yes, man. Yes, it
yeah,
is. You said it right there. It comes with biblical teaching. But when you talk about it becoming more natural, what you're really talking about is the application.
right,
It's the
right,
walking it out,
right,
right?
yeah,
You can go to Sunday school, you can go to Bible
right,
study, you can go to church
right,
on Sunday, you can do all that kind of stuff. But if ain't
right,
nobody living it out, walking it out in front of you, what good
right.
is it? The problem is we have become desensitized to the word of God
Mm,
because we
that's
don't
good.
see it being lived out.
Right. That
I,
that
I
is
don't have
that's
all
good.
the answers, man. I just
Right.
don't.
Right.
I work it. I work very, very hard to walk out what I preach. That's why I'm very careful about what I preach. I don't want to preach something that I'm not living. I'm so imperfect, right?
Right.
I want
Right.
to preach the word of God. I'll tell you what the word of God says,
Yeah.
right?
Hmm.
And I'll tell you how I have applied it,
Right.
right?
Right.
But the prophetic anointing on me, I'm going to give you what God said to give you,
Right.
but I'm
Right.
going to make sure you understand where I fall in that,
Right.
so
Right.
as not to make myself appear to be more than what I actually am.
Right. True.
That makes sense?
Yep.
That's why I always say I preach what I live. I don't preach what
Right.
I heard, I preach what I've lived.
Right.
I'll tell you what the Lord says, and I'll tell you where I fall in that.
Right.
I'm not trying to give you my business, but I'm
Yep.
trying to keep it real.
True.
Because if I preach one thing and live
Hmm.
the opposite of what I preach, then I bring shame on Christ.
Right.
Right?
Right.
Crucify him afresh. That's what the scripture says.
Yes.
So we grown folks, the people that are of knowledge and are of wisdom and maturity, are the ones who have to get right. And we live something in front of our young people so that they get the priorities in order.
Okay. Okay. So you would, so I get that. That we need to, like, show more, living that course of action. I know for the most part, once, mom and dad, there's nobody else. There's just mom and dad. I think from that, it's a teaching as well. Cause it's like, mom and dad, y'all don't know about dating. Y'all mom and dad. Like was like before we came mom and dad, there was, I had
A
to
date.
find mom,
There was a date
yeah,
before
the
we
date.
became mom and dad.
Right, right. Oh, so I think it's going past just, because example is always walking it out, but just the teaching as well. The teaching of the things that you won't see now because we can't show you. It's more or less, this is how you find, son, this is how you find your mom, your future wife, daughter, this is how you position yourself so your future husband of a specific caliber can find you.
Excuse me 1 second. My baby's calling me. I'll be right
Oh
back.
yeah, yeah, no problem. So I think it's about our responsibility as far as the speaking, the the sharing of our life, the sharing of our stories to our children, and that begins to help with the narrative. Teaching them or getting to them before anybody else can share. What coming together looks like. So they at least know or have an idea of what's right. What up, Mark? Good morning. And to me, that is building the foundation. And let's see, boom, boom, boom. Let me put this right here. And changing the sex narrative, changing the mindset of how to change those, begin to change our community, to make the coming together more relatable, more understandable. Like, okay, so this is the process. So this is what coming together looks like in a
Yeah.
more proper manner, so that I think we can begin to change our narrative in our community and lessen my I think my goal is just to cut down on the baby daddies. Granted, relationships going to come together, we're going to be real, we can even get to the point where I propose and we get together, have a kid, and it still not work out, but at least there was a relationship in there.
Yeah.
There was like commitment, at least at some point.
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
you know, I think that's what I want. That's my goal. Like at least that
I
part.
love, I am my baby's daddy,
Yeah.
right? I love being a baby daddy.
Who that is?
but here's the thing.
Yes, indeed.
I love being a baby's daddy because I'm also a daughter's father.
Right.
Right.
What's up, Jerry?
So I think all of that stuff is fantastic. I think it's great. But I also, one thing that I love about God, this is what I love about the word of God, is when God is giving instruction,
Mm-hmm.
when God rebukes, it's always behind disobedience. It's
Right.
an informed disobedience. You knew and you did it anyway.
Mm-hmm.
There was a consequence for that. He says, my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. Ignorance kills, is what we've learned in the scripture. But what I love about God is anytime God is giving instructions, God does several things. He gives you his expectation. Here's what you need to do.
Right.
And then he says, while I'm telling you this, here's what you don't need to do.
Right.
And then he says, if you do this, you'll gain this.
Right.
But if you do this, you'll gain this, or you'll lose this.
Right.
God gives you instructions. He gives you understanding, and he gives you consequences.
Right.
Right. What I love about God is he takes all the question marks away.
Right.
Right. And so as parents, we have fallen short when it comes to taking the question marks away. We used to use terms like do as I say, not as I do.
Right.
We used to say, our response to why our response was because I said so. Right.
Yeah.
I don't think we spend enough time explaining to children, young people, the consequences
Right.
of doing it this way versus the consequences of doing it that way. I think we'd fall short in our level of patience and our level of detail
Right.
because we don't think it's necessary. At some point,
Right.
you'll figure it out. And I think if we spent more time in those areas, I'm talking about, yes, sir. I got it, Mark. I got it. I got this. My brother gave me this shirt. My brother Mark gave me
Oh
this shirt.
wow. Nice.
Let him know
Nice.
I'm flying it. I think from a very early age, right? We have to explain to our children. I think I told you guys this. I was on a radio show a couple of years back. I was invited on the radio show by the owner of the radio show,
Right.
and we're talking about children.
Mhm.
And I was talking about how it's important for me to, let my children express themselves because I came up in a home where my mother allowed us to express ourselves.
Right.
And then she shared with us what we just expressed because we didn't know. Well, I don't know why I'm mad, really. I'm just mad. You took my stuff. I'm angry.
Right.
But she would let us get it out. And the owner of this radio show said, she called into her own radio show and just hijacked it. And my wife and I were on there, and
Right.
she said, no, children are seen and not heard. That ain't how we
Right.
did it in my house growing up. You don't, you get somewhere and sit down, close your mouth.
Right.
And she totally missed the point. Children need to be able to express themselves.
Right.
If they don't have an opportunity to express themselves, they're going to break something.
Right.
The
Right.
question is,
Right.
are they breaking a glass or are they breaking a spirit?
Mm. Right.
You understand? Because
Right.
we can be very damaging. Just ask any middle schooler.
Right. Right. Right.
Because it all begins to show up in middle school.
Right.
If you have not effectively trained your children, whatever is messed up, you're going to start seeing the signs in middle school.
Wow. That's deep. That's deep. That's good though. I like opening up the dialogue with your kids. And for, traditionally, for many households, Pastor McCory grew up in an amazing household to at least get that opportunity to express himself. Oh, I think it's a missing key and missing factor. And I think more parents are allowing it now more than anything. Let's see. Dwayne said he said that's a wait, hold on. I'm gonna throw that in there too. That's a utopian dream, AD. As long as evil exists and sex feels good, sex will always be a quicksand. Because choosing obedience over pleasure is one of man's hugest issues. I hear you, and I know it's possible. I know what's happening now, but I think when you begin to speak against that kind of narrative where choose something else, don't choose that as a getaway, don't use that as a way to cope, like a drug or anything. Just it's something special, like you get in your mindset, like this is not something that should be just given away, for a woman just to give away or a man to just give to, like it should be treated as something special. And if you can kind of change the narrative for most, at least generations coming up, at least in their mind, they'll at least wait, like to not just give it away. Dwayne said, stop giving your little brother stuff that will hurt him, Mark. He said, expression is good. On another note, is good unless you're a Cowboy fan.
He needs to be muted. He's got to be muted. But the point that you're making, though, AD, I think has to deal with. See, the challenge that you have is there's so much more information available to young people.
Yes, yeah,
they can find it anywhere. Sex sells. It always has, always will. They see it in videos. They see it, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter.
Right.
You can pull it up on the smart television screens.
Right.
It's everywhere.
Yeah, right.
It's in movies. It's in commercials. You realize that 40 years ago, 50 years ago, you would have to be in Europe to see a woman in her underwear on TV.
Right. Right.
You have to go overseas because it wasn't shown.
Shown here. Right. Right.
In the States.
Standard. Right.
And so what I realize is young people need an alternative that is appealing,
Right.
you know.
Right.
And what has happened is structure, discipline has lost its level of attraction
Right.
in young people because they've been drawn to all of these other worldly affairs, these worldly things.
Right.
And the disciplinarians, those with structure, we have become the boring side of the wall.
Right.
We're not as appealing. And so you can't compete. Now, I'll never try to compete. I've been people call me a strict father. I call myself a father. To me, there's no such thing as a strict father. There's just being a father.
True.
Right.
Right.
Versus whatever you want to call someone else. Yeah.
Right.
I have made mistakes, but my heart has always been the heart of a father.
Right.
That's the reality. And so I've tried with everything in me to encourage my daughters, because I'm a father of 4 daughters. I only had one son, God rest his soul.
Right.
I've tried to get them to understand the value of themselves. I've tried to get them to understand how much of a blessing it is to preserve, to wait, but I also make sure they understand that if a mistake happens, that no matter what, your father is going to love you regardless.
Right. Yes.
I think that carries more weight than the rules.
Right.
You understand?
No, I got you.
Teaching young people to understand and feel like they can come and share anything with you.
Right.
Is the greatest value that you could ever put in the next generation.
Right.
The freedom, the liberation to come and talk about it, no matter how ugly it is.
Right.
Because what's going to happen is they'll start talking about what they're feeling before the act is committed.
Right. They'll come to you. Right.
If you give them a nurturing environment, if you really want it, you talk about changing the narrative. How about giving children room to talk about how they're feeling or what they're feeling without judging them?
That's good.
Right. That's the thing. To me, that is the greatest value that you could ever put into the next generation, is the liberation of conversation, the ability to speak and share what's on your mind without feeling like you're being judged or graded or ridiculed or rebuked or whatever the case is. Right.
So let me ask you. So, you got grown daughters, you got daughters that are coming up. Has any of them come up to you and spoken to you about the midst of their relationship and the pressure to do it, and them maybe even wanting to do it?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's very uncomfortable.
Listen, but when you were saying that, just the thought of it, I was like, thank you for sharing.
Yeah. Well, my thing is, what I've always said to my children, dangerous as it is,
right,
is I want you to come and share with me.
Right.
But I want you to be prepared for my response.
Right. I got you.
Right.
Yeah.
Because I want you to say what you're going to say. Like I've literally told one of my daughters, about a young man that she was sweet on. I'm like, I really want to squeeze around it. I want to squeeze his neck until I hear something crack.
Right.
I mean, I've said words like this,
I got you.
And it's very scary if you don't know me.
Right.
But that same daughter came back and was like, I heard your heart, Dad.
Right.
Because we had to have this difficult conversation, but I wanted her to express herself, but I wanted her to hear me too, because I wanted her to understand how important it was to me that she recognized that that's temporary.
Right.
And you don't have to give it all away today.
Right.
But I started having this conversation with them in the 8th grade. Well, actually 3rd grade, but I'm saying a situation happened in the 8th grade.
I got you.
They had 8th grade formals and stuff. And I saw all these little girls. I saw these boys, and they looked like they were going to senior prom.
Right.
And I'm like, if you're doing all of this, renting the cars and all this stuff in the 8th grade, what are you going to look forward to when you're a senior
Senior.
in high
Right.
school? Right?
Helicopter. We flying. Right. Right.
Yeah.
I
Because
get you.
once you've gotten through all the material stuff
Yes.
early, there's
Yes.
nothing left but
Right. Right.
making babies.
Right. I
You
get it. I'm with
understand?
you. I'm with you.
If you've overcome the excitement of a stretch limo in the 8th grade,
Right. Wow.
what is it
Let's
going to
see.
take for you in the 12th grade?
Right. Right. What more do you want? Right.
Right. So if you get all these experiences in middle school and all of that kind of stuff, by the time
Right.
you in senior high school,
Right.
y'all doing the nasty.
Right. Right.
So what I try to get them to understand is you need to hold off some of that behavior because that's not for you yet.
Right.
That's how you change the narrative. I tell them that there's going to be a season for that. It's just not today. There's a
Right.
reason why I think you guys have heard me say this. There's a reason why delicate items, the breakable things, are at the top of the shelf
Right.
in your house.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
What did I say?
Mhm.
Because as a child, you can't reach them.
Reach it. Right.
But by the time you're at an age where you can reach the delicate stuff,
Yeah.
you probably have enough maturity to know what to do with what you have in your hand.
Right. That's true.
And so what I
Yeah.
say to them is that's not within your reach today,
Right. Right.
but it will be.
Yeah.
And when it comes, you're going to know what to do with it if you pay
Definitely.
attention, if you
True.
listen.
Definitely.
That's how you change the narrative.
Let's see. Dwayne says, sir, that principle of Father's love is paramount. Also said how God truly loves communication, forgiveness, understanding, etc. Rich says, hey, Pastor. Let's see. Dwayne said it doesn't have to be a cringe moment. Our sons and daughters are going to be boyfriend and girlfriends, husbands and wives, moms and dads. We're too busy sometimes seeing only our babies. True. It's I think to me the cringe moment is just the sharing, like just to making sure, I'm giving you enough information, to know, to make an informed decision, to understand what you're going to do and its ramifications. And I do agree with you, Pastor, like the giving away of too much early, it's like what more, you start seeking more. So it's like you get stuff in stage like they, with kids, we've learned earlier on, if you give kids too much stuff when they're young, it's like how much more can you give when they get older? Like you start reaching a cap, and then it's never enough. What's up, Keita? Good morning.
Morning.
So yeah, getting into that conversation and having an open dialogue I think is definitely necessary. Definitely has to be done. And I feel as if we have more of those open dialogues within the household, because you have that, you have these conversations. It's just with other folk outside the house, getting advice from our friends, our so experienced friends.
My mom had issues with her teeth at a very young age. She had to have her teeth pulled at a very young age. When we were growing up as children, I kept mom has to tell me this, but I think I was 7 years old before we had real access to candy.
Oh wow.
Like 7.
Right.
Yeah. Me and my brothers, we had to wait. Like not that we never got any, but we didn't just have access to
access, right?
Yeah. We didn't get to go trick-or-treating for Halloween.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Early. we didn't get to trick-or-treat until junior high school.
Right.
And by then the costume didn't matter. We went in our street clothes.
Right.
Right? We didn't because
I'm hood.
We were never driven by the costume because we just didn't do that. Now, don't get me wrong, doesn't mean we never had them.
Right. No, I get it.
Right?
I get it.
But we just weren't driven by them.
Right.
Because my little brother, Gary, I think Gary was Superman. I think my brother Paul was Batman.
Wow.
I can't even remember I don't know if me and Mark ever had a costume. I don't know because we were the two oldest. But I remember a Superman costume and a Batman costume.
He said you didn't hide any on Halloween.
Or no, Luke Skywalker. Okay. Paul was Luke Skywalker. I never forget this because he stood out in the back window and was like, Luke Skywalker. He was so excited, man. That's crazy.
He said took a pillowcase and went
digressing. But yeah, took a pillowcase. That's right, and went to work. You know it, Mark. But the point I'm trying to make is now, hey, Rich, my mom probably qualified for arrest when I was growing up. I think if people had peeked into our house at a certain time, she might have been arrested. But that's my mama. But I think the point that I'm making is there are certain things I think we do too much too soon.
Okay.
With our children, right? But we never take the time to really explain to them why you need to wait.
Right.
That's what I was trying to say earlier. Right. When I, fast forward,
What's up,
I
Cole?
was always told, "Oh, you got a great set of teeth. You got a great set of teeth. You got a great set of teeth," because I learned the importance early.
Right.
Now, I may have forgotten a lot of that stuff now, but
right.
See, there was a season of my life where I understood how critical it was.
Right.
So I think those are the things that we have to keep in mind, and it works that way with everything, not just sex, but with money, with doing your income taxes, with going to work every day, getting your homework done in school. It's all of that stuff. Why is homework important? Well, homework is important because as much as you might want to watch that after school TV show today, in about 4 weeks, there's going to be a grade period. There's going to be a grade coming out.
Right.
If you do this now, when that grade comes out, we're going to be able to celebrate.
Right.
But if you don't do this now, this little extra hour, 45 minutes of getting this work done, man, when that grade comes out, I know that's going to be a bad day. Right. Let's make sure that's a good day by taking this 45 minutes today. And let's see how fast this 45. And then when the 45 minutes is up and the work is done, make sure you celebrate.
Right. Definitely.
Right.
Definitely. Yeah, that and it's so funny when you said that about the candy, because I never had a cavity until maybe about 18, 19, maybe 20ish, because then I was eating candy on my
For me,
own.
I didn't have a cavity till I was 50.
Wow, that's good. But yeah, so because I remember, I think, because I didn't really have access either. I think the first candy I fell in love with was those square lollipops.
Those big.
Man. So I was thinking about the same as you, probably like 8 or 9, maybe 10. Like I remember, I was like, "Can I get that?" I remember I was like, "Oh, this is good."
Oh
like
man,
heaven.
we stole it. Don't turn your back. Not on the boys, not the McCrory boys. Don't turn your back on us in the store, man. We the little penny candy where you can just reach out and
right there.
Had the opening, grab some stuff in your pocket. Man, we did it. We did that. Sorry, Mom. Sorry. We showed that.
Oh man, it was the first day I got my driver's license. I got in an accident. Wow, the cop that gave me a ticket told me, "Perhaps you thought you were ready to drive, but really not." Wow. Richard says he said money doesn't get a woman pregnant. Oh, okay. So yeah, it's it's so funny about the license thing. Because I got my license in New York, I think about 17. And I was probably like 2 days away from my birthday, gonna be 18. And my dad was like, "I need something." I was like, "You need me to go?"
Right.
He was like, "And no, 2 days you can go." I was like, "It's just 2 days," So it made me got me to appreciate, the license when I got it or whatever. So
that 24-hour psychological grace period. Is what it is.
Yes.
I get it. Because I was 16 when I got my driver's license.
Nice.
But we didn't have a car.
Wow. Okay.
Right? My mother didn't drive.
I think he told me that.
My mother's only been driving 20 years.
Wow.
She was in her 50s when she got her first driver's license. She did not drive when I was growing up. The first car in my family was mine, the car that I bought when I was in the military. I bought the first car in my family.
Wow.
Yeah, we didn't have a car growing up.
Wow.
Women in my mother's family, didn't drive a lot. Just didn't. My mother did not drive. And even today, she won't get on the freeway.
Really?
Mm-mm.
Wow.
If it requires getting on the freeway,
Yeah.
somebody needs to take her.
Wow.
Yep.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Little fun fact there. Oh, yeah. So it's the teaching, the knowing, knowing, what's appropriate, knowing the age, not giving too much to your kids. He said he said I had a 76 Vega Canary Yellow. Nice.
Yeah, but it was a 76 Vega, but he probably had it in 1990.
Oh man, let's see. Mike said, "Do you think, brothers?" Hashtag shed. Appreciate that. Thank you for your service, gentlemen. Thank you, I guess for your service. Thank you for service in discussing hard topics. Yes, indeed, we appreciate you, man.
Appreciate you.
Let's see. Dwayne said, I was the first person in my house with a license, and my oldest sibling has children my age. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
I said, Rich said, got my driver's license in 83. I was 19, and my parents put on insulation for both their cars because they wanted a driver when they went to parties and drink. He said, 85 Chevette. Nice. Nice.
My first car was a brand new car. Was a 1988 Pontiac Sunbird.
Wow.
Yeah, that was my first car. A candy apple red 1988 Pontiac Sunbird.
Nice.
And I drove that thing into the ground.
To just stop.
All right. I didn't have that car. I didn't have that car 3 years. And I drove it, stopped making payments on it. They repossessed it.
They gave for it.
Listen, they got a good year and a half's worth of payments.
The rest you running.
And then what happened is I got in an accident. I didn't have insurance. I was just trifling. I was trifling. I was driving without insurance, man. But I was in the military, and it's like when you're in the military, like you don't have to keep track of your driver's license because as long as you're in the military, you're a licensed driver, so your license can expire.
Right.
Back then, there was no electronic tracking of insurance. They couldn't just type your license plate and see if you had coverage, so just that stuff. Yeah, but I'm talking about the things that I had never been taught. Like my mother didn't drive. She didn't have a car. So no one ever explained to me how important insurance was.
Right.
No one explained that kind of stuff. No one explained to me that, you make these payments on this car. As long as you have this car, you make these payments. And man, I'm 19 years old and I'm like, I ain't giving you my money.
I got the car now.
Right. I drove and then I drove it into the ground. I didn't, no one taught me. I took shop class, but I didn't understand the importance of maintenance, getting the oil change, checking your tires, the tread on your tire. I'm a guy and I didn't, because I grew up in a house without a father. I didn't have an uncle. I didn't have nobody teaching me those kind of things. Right. And my mother was not a handyman at all. So I got in the car and I just drove it. That's all I did. I had to learn all these lessons, man, but I learned them by making mistakes.
Right.
When they came and when they came and repossessed that car, I don't even think they wanted it. They're like, this, man, that car went from looking like, like cool nice. Pimpin' daddy to that's an 88. It's only 1990. It's bad. It's pitiful. But I had to learn. Had to change the date of expiration on your insurance card and reprint it one wallet. Yeah. Oh, you're smarter than me. I didn't care.
They couldn't really run it. Right.
The only time it mattered to me, I had to be legitimate just to get my my tag to get my car registered on base.
Right. Wow.
At my duty station. Once I got my tag, once I got my duty station tag where I can go on and off base, nothing else mattered.
That's all it took care of. Right.
Yeah, because again, you're 19 years old,
right,
away from home, and you're essentially considered a grown-up. You're on your own. Because back then, even in the military, it's 21 years old was the drinking age. But as long as you were in the military, you could drink at 18 on base. They didn't change those laws until I think uh, 89, 88 or
Oh, okay.
89,
Okay.
where you had to be 21 even on base.
Wow.
You know,
Wow.
yeah.
Wow. You
So
said,
it's all about learning,
yep,
applying,
yep,
learning, applying, but someone has to be there to give you the information.
right, right. Yes, indeed. Yeah, I had my lessons too with cars and driving, and yeah, yeah, yeah. I
Well, I mean,
love it.
that's the point that you're making. How do you
Yeah,
change the narrative? You change the
yeah.
sex narrative the same way you change any narrative.
Everything. You have the conversation.
Information is critical. You've got to educate
Yes, indeed.
people.
Yeah, and I think it's not, and past to speak of not having a father in the home. There was some information that I had my dad that fell through the gaps, that we didn't talk about. Some things I seen, but some things I didn't know about. Like I knew work. Work was top. Like you go to
Yeah.
work. Like I said, I could always see my dad still putting on his socks early in the morning, getting ready to go drive the bus. Like that's one thing he never I learned, just I guess would say through osmosis. Just work. You
Yeah.
take care of that, take care of the household, make sure everything is
Yep.
paid, and take
Yep.
care of that stuff. But the intricacies, like I didn't learn much about cars because he wasn't a handyman. so he passed that non-knowledge to me as well. So, getting under the hood and stuff like that wasn't something we did. So I had to learn that on my own. But we have to have those conversations.
Yeah.
Like for me, we never had the sex conversation in our household. Not it didn't, because I didn't feel comfortable going to them. Like, and two, they never made it seem like, hey, come to us with everything. Like, yeah. So it just never really happened. I think I had a piece of a sex conversation with my mom, and she just turned to the watchtower. She said, "Don't read that." She went, she had been your witness forever, so she probably listen, any subject, anything, she could pull a watchtower, and no matter what it was, she could like,
Hmm.
you know what, let
Hmm.
me read that.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
so it was never, it was like, can we have a conversation? No, like, can I tell you what I'm feeling? you
Yeah.
know
Yeah.
so it's definitely about, I think, like I said, coming into this generation more, we're trying to have more conversation with our kids, and like you said, having the dialogue,
Yeah.
like, how are you feeling, not just throwing information at your children, but having a dialogue to see where their head is at, and then
Yeah.
responding, what's necessary.
Hmm.
um so that, I think that's important. So that is like the crux of this conversation, changing the sex narrative, having a conversation so that we can begin to change our communities. Because if the the baby daddy syndrome, I think, just makes the community that much tougher. But if we're more stuck together in our relationships, where
Hmm.
we know who we're getting in bed with and know who we're connecting to, then I think it'll definitely raise the bar in our community.
It's
um
it's gotten so unusual now that young girls are talking about having babies with guys, and they don't even care
right,
that they're not married.
right.
They want the baby and
Big
not the
conversation.
guy.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, I've
wow.
heard that.
That's wild.
I've heard
That's
that.
wild.
I want the baby and not the guy. We may not be together, but I still want the baby
Yeah, like, that's
because I
wild.
want to be a mother. You know,
Right.
I don't have time. I don't want the drama of a relationship. I don't want to be tripping with no man. I don't need all that. I just give me the seed.
Wow.
That's how
Yeah.
far off
Right.
certain mindsets are, man.
Right.
You know,
That's wow.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah, yeah.
Wow.
It's. I mean, this thing is deep. It's deep. It's deep.
Wow.
These young guys, planting these babies around, and there's no accountability,
Mm.
and some of these young girls don't even want it. They don't even want the guy engaged. They don't want him involved.
Right.
You know.
Right. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Let's chew on
That's
that
good
a little
though.
bit.
Give me the seed without the nutrients. Yeah.
Nutrients. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Give me the seed without the proper nutrients.
Hmm.
Um,
You can give me the seed, but I don't need you to water it.
right. 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 Right.
I'll water it myself. Yeah.
Right. You're fortunate. Next time my mother has a sex talk with me, who'll be the first, and now I'm a grown man. We didn't really talk. I got handed a watch tower. She just handed me a watch tower. Let's see. So work is the easy one, right? Easy one, lesson one. And man, don't work, you don't eat, right? Right.
I let bro. All right, we gotta. That's a narrative that we need to reinforce because
Right.
that narrative is lost on a lot of people.
The working.
The work, yeah. You
Yeah.
don't work, you don't eat. There's a lot of guys out here unemployed, eating fat and happy. Right? I'm serious. I mean, and that's the part that you want to talk about changing a narrative. This idea that women are taking care of their men.
Right. Right.
Right?
Right.
Guys laying up on these women.
Right.
Guys in the passenger seat. That's why that bothers me. Right? I know I'm not gonna go there. I'm not gonna go there. I won't do it. Well, maybe just a little bit. Just a little bit. That's why. Like, it's funny. I was just getting in the car with my daughter 2 days ago. She was getting ready to go to work.
Okay.
And I'm like, okay, I'll just jump in the passenger seat so she can drive.
Right.
She has a driver's license,
Right.
But I'm like, no, because she actually can drive now.
Right.
So I'm in the car with the door open, and she's like, "You ready, Dad?" I'm like, "Get out of the driver's seat." I couldn't even close the door. I couldn't do it. I just couldn't do it.
I got you.
Because she wants to be able to drive with me in the car, so I can see how she's evolved as a driver. But I can't. I just can't do it. And for some, I know that's a problem that I have. It's a mental issue, psychological issue that I have personally. That I don't want to be in the passenger seat with a woman driving. I am chauvinistic.
Right.
But I do think that there's a lot to be said about because when we pulled up to the mall where she works, and well, actually, I was picking her up from work, and I'm sitting in the car. She comes and she gets in the car, and we see another couple coming out of the mall.
Okay.
I see a man and his woman walking to the car, and he comes around to the passenger side, and he gets in the car and sits down, lets the seat back, chills, and then the woman gets in the driver's side, and she gets herself together, and she and I'm like, that's just pitiful. And my daughter was like, "Well, Daddy, maybe that's her car," and I'm like, that's even worse. It just looks.
Oh, you said
wrong.
that maybe that's her car. I got you. Right.
You know what I'm saying? It just looks wrong.
I get you.
When I met my wife, if we were in her car, I drove her in her car.
Right. I get you.
It just it's a mindset thing.
Yeah.
You understand?
I dig it.
And for those of you who have never heard me say this, I say this because in my mind, in my little silly mind, if my woman is driving me around in the car, I feel like that woman is driving me around in life.
I get it.
That's the sole reason why I don't like men in passenger seats of cars, because you're not supposed to be in the passenger seat in life.
I was waiting for it to respond.
Hey, I'm admitting that I got issues. I'm admitting that. But I will tell you, if you go take a look, if you do it, you take a poll.
Okay.
I'll guarantee you that if you see the climate of those households, I ain't saying it's everybody, but it's enough to make you concerned about men being in the passenger seat.
Right.
You'll see that those are households where the woman is running everything. Call me silly, but go do the research. Go do the research.
Let that marinate.
If the woman has to change the tire on the car and the man is there, she's probably paying the bills.
I mean, he said no.
Samantha's not going to change the tire with you sitting in the car.
Well,
not gonna happen.
You're right about that.
Not gonna happen.
That is true. That is true. That is true. I will say one time,
if the man is riding dirty, then that's a whole nother conversation.
That's different.
Right?
That's different.
That's different. If he is not, if for whatever reason, him in the driver's seat is going to get somebody in jail, get somebody arrested, then okay, I don't know everybody's info. I don't know everybody's life or whatever the case might be. But
Yeah,
I'm
I
saying
agree.
for an able-bodied man with a driver's license in his pocket,
Right.
who's not a
Right.
felon
Right.
or a reckless driver,
Right.
and you just riding around because you don't want to drive,
Right.
man, miss me
So
with that.
yeah, I agree with you there, Tim. Change the tire is not the same as driving. Oh, Cole said my wife is too scared to drive beyond the neighborhood to drive all the time. Oh, yeah, because I will say Sam did drive for a while because my license, yeah, that's a
Yeah, but that's
whole
see,
podcast.
okay, so that's an example of something different.
Yeah,
That's
yeah, I had
different.
driver's license issues.
Right. I'm
Yeah,
saying, but if you wake up every day and you jump to the passenger seat, at
right.
some point, dang, I'm looking
Chilling.
at you like,
Oh, trust. Once my license was fixed, yeah, she wasn't even going on that side for a while.
right,
All right,
right.
all right. Let's see.
But she
Oh,
calling it foolery. She know.
I don't know, Pat. I'm a research. I'm a challenge you on that research. I mean,
Please do.
like I said, changing the tire is different. Like, yeah, I would trip out unless the man was handicapped. Just he couldn't. Like for some reason, yeah, that's different. Oh, but let's not get all the way off course. So we appreciate you guys for rocking with us, and hanging with us. Make sure you share. This is still your opportunity to share and join our community. Text LWN to 84576. Text LWN to 84576. And tonight, make sure you watch Purpose for Forever. Not sure what we're going to talk about, but
They're gonna be talking
definitely
about women in the driver's seat.
women. He said women in the driver's seat. Oh,
Not
so
the car life.
okay,
Okay, I'm done. I'm gonna stop.
So make sure you join. Make sure you text LWNT 4576, and you will not miss tonight's show. We would definitely appreciate you being a part. Change the tire means right. Change the tire means call AAA. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed, Pastor Wright. Let's see. So what, blank man? Right, blank man don't have to change. There you go. All right, we're going. Thank you. Appreciate it, Mama McCory. He said tonight. Right. Cole said tonight on Purpose or Forever Scrubs. Let's see.
What's up, Rock?
What's up, Rock? He said, I'm praying for you, Pastor. All right, guys. So we appreciate you guys. Make sure you share, join our community. We look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow. And just stay tuned. We're going to be shifting this conversation a little bit. And I might have a guest on this. No, it's next Wednesday. So, all right. So we look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow. Same place, same channel. Always know that we love you, but God loves you more. Continue to stay safe. Continue to pray. And thank you. Thank you for rocking with us because we don't take it for granted. Yes. Peace out. I didn't want to catch
Good
that.
morning.
First.
Good morning. Good morning.
Welcome to another edition of
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. What's up, everybody?
This episode is brought to you by StreamYard. Ready to go live? Go to bit.ly/StreamYard BOL. That's bit.ly/StreamYard BOL. This episode is also brought to you by Self. Build credit now. Go to bit.ly/now build credit. bit.ly/